Welcome to Worship Leader Hangout, where we talk about many aspects of leading worship and leading a worship team. Today we're going to be talking about how to lead a band rehearsal. So what I mean by that is not everybody together, but a band-specific rehearsal.
Yeah, talking about bass, drums, keyboard, guitars. So yeah.
That's right. So this video is going to be for worship leaders that stay behind while maybe the vocalists go in a different area of the church. And also MDs. MDs may actually run the band rehearsal separately. Yeah. So check this out.
All right, so one of the first things you want to do is simply listen for the chord structure. Is everybody playing the same chords? All right, and you also want to focus on whether we're playing the chords at the same timing. Okay, so maybe the chord is being held for 4 beats, and you might have an individual holding it for 3 beats, and that's going to cause some contention within your sound. So listen for the chord structure.
Right, and with that, you're talking about timing. You want to know what tempo the song is.
Yeah.
As simple as that. I know that sounds simple, but maybe you have a metronome that the drummer dials in or your MD dials in, and that everybody can hear through their in-ears. And so you know what tempo you're looking for in that song. Maybe you have a track that already has a tempo built in. But basically is know the tempo and know how to stay on tempo. Know when to listen when people are rushing. A lot of times people start to rush when they do fills or when a line or a part is a little more busy.
Yeah.
Because they get excited and they start. I know I play bass, and when I started doing runs, when I first started, I'd get excited and rush the heck out of that thing.
So, a lot of times it happens when a drummer is playing a lick.
Yeah, exactly.
They play a lick and they get so excited. Oh, my part is coming, and it's like, oh, what happened? We fell apart.
And then either you fall apart, or the entire you went from 120 to 140 like that.
Yeah, your whole life
You have to know what tempo you want, know how to stay on that. Obviously, when you have a click in your ear, you're more than likely going to stay on that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, tempo is a good thing. Another thing to focus on is the musical range of all the instruments. For example, you do not want your keyboard player playing bass notes that your bass player is playing.
Yeah, that's huge for bass players.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
All right. You don't want also that your guitar player playing in the range of your keyboard player. All right. So you need to establish the correct octaves for everybody. Another thing to focus on, let's say you have 2 keyboard players and a guitar player, or maybe the other way around with 2 guitar players and a keyboard player. You don't want everybody playing chords. Maybe you may want somebody playing the arpeggios of a particular chord, or maybe playing some melodic line of some kind.
Right.
But yeah, you want to establish the musical range of all the instruments.
Yeah, and most of the time, artists that produce that song are gonna have that already built in within the original song itself.
Exactly.
So at the very least, maybe know what they do on the track, on the CD, and then you can kind of build from there.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you want to do something different, go ahead, but at least maybe know that.
Yeah.
So that way you're not both playing rhythm parts and it's sounding really
And not
muddy.
everybody has all the instruments that's on a track. So applying that principle may apply. For example, at one church that I play for, we have a flute player. Well, what do we give her to play?
Yeah.
Well, we kind of give her a lot of the what the lead guitar player would play.
That's good.
Yeah. And so she stays in her own lane and she knows where she's supposed to be playing.
That's cool. Yeah, and kind of going along with that is dynamics. So if when you're in a song, when you're in a moment where the worship leader wants to exhort or start talking to the congregation or say something about a certain part of the song, you don't want to stay. Your band behind you doesn't want to stay, really loud or really intense. They want to back off and you want to hear mainly, just keys or acoustic guitar, a much softer sound. And soft usually kind of means quieter as well.
Yeah.
You can still have some of that intensity. Intensity has nothing to do with whether it's loud or soft, but when somebody's talking, especially the worship leader or a pastor comes up, you do want to back off a little bit and have most of your musicians cut out. Have keys, maybe a little bass behind that, and so that dynamic range or dynamic element is going to help intensify what they're saying. Also, you want dynamics within the song itself. I know a lot of times, especially when we are not basing it off of what the original artist does, we can start playing the verse and we get to the chorus and it sounds exactly the same.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is they're both at the same level, and we have no we have no
Yeah.
volume level shifts, and it's all like just
Yeah,
the whole
song
time.
has really nowhere to go because you've been playing
Right.
it at the same volume the entire time.
So start out something, most of good rule of thumb is to start your verses out kind of softer, at least at the beginning of the song, and then build from there. Some of your choruses are pretty hot, but and that probably goes more for the worship type songs, slower songs.
Yeah.
Some of your faster songs, your dynamic range may not be nearly as big,
as drastic.
but it's still there. So think about dynamics. Think about where are moments that we are going to be louder, or there's going to be more instruments playing, and where are moments that we're going to pull back a little bit.
Yeah. Another thing you want to pay attention to is which instrument is leading this particular song. Maybe the song is keyboard driven, and so you want your piano player to be the loudest instrument for that particular song, and you want all the other instruments to maybe back off a little bit. Maybe the song is guitar driven, and so you want your guitar players to be the loudest instruments in that particular piece of song. So ask yourself which instrument is leading this particular song. What's going to happen if you don't establish that? There's going to be clashes. All right, your sound is going to sound real muddy. All right, so establish which instrument is leading.
Yeah, and one huge thing to do, this is especially for bass players and drummers, and then for you listening to what's happening in your band rehearsal, is make sure your bass player and your drummer are locked together. What I mean by that is your whatever kick pattern your drummer's playing, your bass player needs to play right there with him. Needs to play the notes that he's playing, need to match up exactly with that kick pattern. Of course, he's going to play some other notes outside of that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But then, really, no matter whatever the groove of the song is, he's going to be matched up perfectly with that kick. Maybe even doing some different fill patterns, especially if they play together a lot, and the bass player knows what kind of fills that drummer does a lot. He can play a little bit outside of the groove with that fill, and it matches up really nice. It's gonna take your sound, your level of excellence from here to here if you do that very simple thing. And if you have a bass player that's a young musician that hasn't been playing a lot, just let them know, even if he just played with the kick, boom, dun, dun, and that's all he did. That's so much better than him just playing a whole note.
And just playing whatever.
He doesn't know.
There's no rhythm to what he's playing.
So just say, hey, watch the kick. And that's why we typically have the bass near the drums or close enough to see the kick, and let him match up with that. It's gonna change your sound. It's gonna sound so good.
Make you sound so much better.
That's right.
And so something to think about and be mindful of is not all these principles may apply to your particular band setting.
Okay, yeah.
But we hope we've given you some rules that you can use.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember, you can subscribe. You can click on the logo that's right here. Also, there's other videos that we made in the past, so check those out. And remember, great worship leaders are always learning.
Thanks a lot. Have a little talk with Jesus. Tell him all about your trouble. All right. You want to leave this one?
That was perfect for lining up that audio.
Great.
Yeah, I'll leave this one. I'm excited.
Okay.